Right, today we're going to talk about rhythm. The basics of rhythm is the rhythm of a track tells you when to play the notes. In a song, what we call harmony basically tells you what notes you can play over certain chords. Like, if I have a chord of G major, I can play notes out of the G major scale. Rhythm tells you when to play the notes, so when I'm playing it in this example, I'm playing the first 6 notes straight, and then the 7th note is delayed. This is using both harmony and rhythm to make a memorable line, which sounds good over the chord. So, in its most basic form, if you use rhythm well in combination with harmony, you can write excellent melodies. So, we'll start by going through time signatures. Most standard music you'll come across is written in 4/4. It's called 4/4 because the bar is divided into 4 and the number on top is the amount of 4s there are. So there's 4 4s, meaning that the bar sounds like. Divided into quarter notes, 4 played per bar, makes one whole bar. And if you remember from a previous video, the tempo of a track is the amount of quarter notes per minute. So if you have a tempo of 200 BPM, each bar, technically, you have 50 bars occurring per minute. Because there's 4 quarter notes in a bar, and if it's in 4/4, anyways. So there's much more lengths than just quarter notes, but that's the most common one. You get a breathe, which is a double whole note. This is a note that lasts 2 bars. You get a semi-breathe, which lasts 1 whole bar. A minim lasts half a bar. A crotchet lasts a quarter, which is also the quarter note. A quaver lasts an 1/8. Semi-quaver lasts a 16th, and a demi-semi-quaver lasts a 32nd. You can also get 64ths, which is a hemi-demi-semi-quaver, but they are very, very uncommon. These fit into the bars mathematically. So, as I previously said, a bar of 4/4 has 4 quarter notes. If 1 quarter note is worth 2 1/8 notes, that means that that bar has 8 1/8 notes. When you see music written, you will also see that the rests are notated. A rest is basically just when you are not supposed to be playing a note, and it shows you how long to wait before playing the next note. So you have the same duration rests, and they're all just named after the length of the rest. So quarter rest, it's a quarter note rest. 1/8 rest, 1/8 note rest. Full bar rest, rest for a full bar. So we'll quickly go through an example. If a bar of 4/4 has 1 quaver, then a quarter rest, can a minim, which is half a bar, fit into the same bar? The answer to this is yes. A quaver is 1/8 of a note, and a quarter rest is 1/4 of a note, which takes up 3/8 of the bar, meaning there's 5/8 left, which is more than a half, which means the minim can fit in the bar. These notes can also be dotted. A dotted note is a note which has the value and then half added on. So if you have a dotted quarter note, that is like 3/8 notes in length. So it's a quarter note and then an 1/8 note. So, for example, a dotted minim is the same as a minim and a crotchet when combined. These are really used if you're composing melodies or writing. You can save yourself a lot of time by just dotting the note instead of writing or drawing another note. So to check this, we'll quickly do an example. If a bar of 4/4 has a dotted crotchet, how many quavers can be played in the rest of the bar? The answer to this is 5. because if it has a dotted crotchet, that means it contains a quarter note and an eighth note, making 3/8, which is the same as the previous example, which leaves 5/8, letting 5 quavers be played in the bar. Beyond these standard and dotted notes, there are also subdivisions of notes. These can be made up of any number of notes, but are commonly seen as triplets, quintuplets, or sextuplets. They are noted with the same notes as what they are dividing and are joined together. Like you'll see a line connecting them and then a number on top which denotes how many there are. So for example, if you have 5 quavers and they're connected with a line that says 5 on the top, that's a quintuplet. A crotchet divided into 3 is written as triplet quavers. When divided into 5, it's written as semiquavers. This is because it follows the closest natural division. So 3 out of, it always goes down as well. So 3 is closer to 2 and 5 is closer to 4. So, for example, if a bar in 4/4 contains 1 crotchet and a quintuplet group of quavers, if no other notes are played in this bar, what rest should be written? The answer for this is a quarter rest. This is because the quintuplet quavers take up a quarter of the bar, and the note in the bar is a half bar, meaning there is 3/4 of the bar taken up and 1/4 rest. This is mainly, those examples are just applying 4/4. There's not just 4/4 in music, there's many different kinds of time signatures. These include 3/4, 5/4, 7/4, 6/8, 7/8, 9/8, and 12/8. These are built the same as 4/4. In 4/4, the number on the bottom is a division. This is still true for other ones. So in a 6/8 time signature, for example, it's divided into eighths and you play 6 of them per bar. Same with 7, but you play 7 per bar. And these are very interesting when you play. If you're playing in 4/4 and you suddenly switch up to something like 6/8, you will be able to catch your listener off guard, and you'll probably end up writing something a bit groovier. 6/8 seems to have that sort of groovy feel to it. It's a very nifty time signature, and I do like using it quite a lot. So that's the standard time signature, note length, rest length, dotted notes, etc. Beyond that, there is also something known as syncopation. Syncopation is when notes are played off the beat. So if you have a bar in 4/4, for example, and you're playing every other eighth note, that's known as syncopated because you're not playing on the beat. If you were to play on every quarter note, it would be no syncopation at all. It's literally just playing off the beat. This is really common in genres like metal and jazz, as they like to mess around with the rhythm to make more interesting sections. Usually when you have a section that's very heavily syncopated, you'll get like the drums will just be playing quarter notes to emphasize the syncopation, and you can sort of see where the syncopation is. This syncopation should be used very carefully though, because if you syncopate things like very, very strongly, it can be almost impossible to tell the time signature. Pretty much every Meshuggah song does this. It's impossible to tell half the time. You have to sit and analyze. Because their songs are so heavily syncopated, it's so hard to tell what time signature they're playing in. And it doesn't help because a lot of the time they do like to play in time signatures like 15/16 or 9/8 or other unusual time signatures. But that's a whole another thing. But understanding rhythm and how to use it is crucial to writing good music, good chord progressions, good melodies, good everything. Anything you can write, I would say you need a good understanding of rhythm. The music's all about context. So if you think your song calls for a rhythmic change, calls for something like syncopation, odd time signature, quintuplets, septuplets, whatever you may want to put in. Just try it. The number one rule I would always follow is if something sounds good, you should use it. And then afterwards you can use theory to sort of figure out why it sounds good. I wouldn't sit there and go, right, so I've got 3/8 of space, I'm going to throw in this 16th note phrase. Just play naturally, and then afterwards you can figure out what you were doing and why it sounded good. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover on rhythm. It's very useful. Just make sure that you use it sparingly and use it in the appropriate context of your music. Also, just want to quickly say thanks for watching. I actually recently released an EP at the time of recording this a few days ago, so that will be linked in the bio of this channel, and I'll put a link in the description. I've used a lot of the concepts discussed in this series while writing those songs, so if you want audio examples, you can go listen, and you'll probably be able to tell what parts I'm using, what techniques. But yeah, that was all I wanted to cover, so thanks.